Alright, it's only 25 minutes. So, for the bonus episode, I played through the game a third time. Because one, I figured I might as well show off Tails' ending as well as the good ending. In order to do that, I have to get all the Chaos Emeralds, and, well, some people might actually want to see all the stages completed, so I present to you 25 minutes of Chaos Emeralds and endings. Well, I decided to show what it takes to get into these things, because you'll scavenge for rings, essentially, and go to a goalpost you know about. I don't show the ring getting part for everything, I just kind of start cutting into special stages at this point, but well, you've seen this one before. This one's pretty easy. In fact, the first three are pretty easy. You're going to notice some weird skill shifting that happens. Because this one, I obviously know what I'm doing. I've done this one plenty of times before. The next two, it had been years, like probably over a decade since I'd actually played through them. But I got them on my first try regardless. So it's going to look like I don't know what I'm doing, because I don't. But I get them in my first try. Special stages 4 through 6 are the hard ones. And I'm not going to lie, I'm not going to, try to pull the wool over anybody's eyes. I'm going to be straightforward. I just use save states. I wasn't going to get good. I'm never going to do these again. I was doing them once just to show them off and get them all done and maybe play around with supersonic some so you can see that. But I used save states. I would save before I entered the special stage so that I essentially had infinite tries. And this is the second one, now that we're done with the one we've seen. Yep, they changed the color of the track. It's kind of a nice thing to do. It means they're not all samey. It kind of helps with memorization, I would guess, This is the pink one, so obviously you would know in your mind to move like I am moving. Except it doesn't, like I said, I got this one on my first try, so it looks like I don't know what I'm doing, and that's because I don't. It's easy enough that you can probably get this within your first few tries. If you don't know what you're doing. If you do know what you're doing, then you have no excuse to be losing these first three. Possibly 4, I don't know. 4 is kind of on the ropes for me, because that's the first one where I really lost. But I imagine if you know what you're doing, then that one's no trouble at all. No. 5 and 6, that's where the trouble lies. Now, as I mentioned in Sonic 1, and maybe even Sonic 2, there's a 7th Emerald in this game. But that one's not really all that hard at all. I put it up there with number 4 as not quite 5 and 6 levels of difficulty, but not as easy as the first 3. Moving on to the orange one. Yeah, these stages get really difficult. The thing is, the tracks become more twisty and turny. The amount of rings you need to get goes up, and in the case of 5 and 6, the amount of rings you are granted compared to the amount of rings you need to get are really, really stingy. It's really, really low. But we'll see that when I get there. I had to try those ones several times before eventually getting them. Right now, we're still talking over the boring ones, to be frank. Although that one's kind of neat. I like the little jump rope of bombs that was going on there. bombs, obviously. If they hit you, you lose some rings. Not all of them, just 10 of them. However, even though it's just 10 of them, that might as well be a death sentence. In the later ones especially, like, in the early ones you might be able to take a bomb or two and still be able to get away with it. In the later ones, no. Once you get hit by a bomb, you've lost. Like, that's how strict the ring quotas are in 5 and 6. I'll say it. If I'm talking about the hard ones, I'm talking about 5 and 6. Like, I imagine you can get hit by a bomb in 4 and still manage. I got 4 on my second try. I only had to reload the state once. And I'll explain that when we get to that segment. This is the white one. This one's kind of pretty to look at. It's white and gold. I can dig it. Yeah, this one's gonna get a little weird with the bombs. Okay, this should be the segment coming up right here that that got me to lose. Oh, not yet. We're still in a pretty okay, here it is. Okay, so my only advice for this section, because this is the section that made me lose, is to weave between the bombs. You'd think it would be safer to jump over to the other side, and that's true, but the jumping is too slow, I find. For this one, anyway. There's another section like that in a later level that I actually do manage to jump through, but I kept missing them every time I jumped. So I started weaving instead, and that worked better than jumping, so it only took me two tries to get this one. However, if you're like me, you're already worn out by these special stages, and you're like, is this really the entire thing? Well, no, we're about to take a break from all this, because I don't want to sit here and watch this for too long uninterrupted. So let's take a break as I completely ruin the end of this game with Tails. Okay, maybe wreck is too strong of a word, but I do pretty good. Starting with this guy, of course, because he's technically speaking the hardest boss in the game, except you have rings. But how much better could I do than I did with Sonic? I got hit 3 times as Sonic. Let's see how Tails responds to that. Yeah, this boss, I said it enough during the actual boss fight, but I really enjoy this boss fight. It's a lot of fun. But still, I can't exactly, you know, blame people for hating it if they do. Look at that. Not a single hit. That's what I meant by wreck the end game. I do really, really well. But there's another reason I'm showing all this. Because if you're playing as Tails, it's Sonic flying the plane. As you probably guessed. But I don't actually, you know, see that at all, because I never play as Tails alone. I usually just start the game as Sonic and Tails. So that's a thing that I rarely get to see. As is this particular sprite. Because I never see Tails holding onto the rocket. So that's fun. But the end game basically plays out the same. It's the ending has a noteworthy feature to it, though. That makes a showing of it warranted. But now I'll wreck Silver Sonic even harder than I did with Sonic. Because Tails is apparently better at this game than Sonic is. 1, 2, 3, 4. He didn't even get a move. But I'm not going to subject you to Dr. Robotic again, so...
Darn, we're not gonna make it. Let's speed up.
Yeah, wasn't gonna make you watch the entire thing. That is a tedious boss fight to watch. The biggest difference between the two endings is that there's no little cutscene of Sonic looking up at the sky at the explosion. And we see Tails in the same out-of-control descent, despite the fact that he's shown he can fly. But the big problem is the music plays during that little slideshow, and so we replace that with Tails falling, and we have an awkwardly long segment of Tails falling. Man, I haven't been paying attention. I didn't count how long this went on for, but there he is. Sonic pulled off another impressive feat of perception, and we're joined by chickens. And chickens flying at 40,000 feet is sillier than bluebirds flying at 40,000 feet. Oh well. That's the Tails ending. He has his own little unique sprite at the very least. But we go back to the shitty part of this episode. And they changed the yellow stripes to green, and so that they could have a yellow special stage. Watch the asinine amount of things you have to do in this stage, because this is 5. This is the first of the 2 really hard ones. Look at this. Yeah, you're supposed to know those bombs are coming. You can't see them, and let me stress to you that 58 rings is really good. Like, I normally was able to finish that segment with 51, and 51 rings wasn't enough, ever. Like, that's how strict it was. That segment right there was what made or broke this run. If I would have gotten a little less, in fact, watch the screw-ups coming up, because you know, it goes into detail as to why that 7 made all the difference, because yikes, I thought I lost again, actually. But I just made it. You have to get 160 rings to beat that one. That might be the hardest one. I think the next one was at least a little easier, but this one's just really, really strict on rings is all. It doesn't have a lot for you to do. It's just really strict from what I remember. It's been a couple weeks since I recorded this. But you can't miss a single row. You have to hit every row. Like, that's all there is to it. Yeah. I had enough to get 9 over. These things are hard, though. I don't really like them. And so I don't do them, and I'm glad I don't like either of the 2 rewards you get for completing all 7 of them, because otherwise this probably wouldn't actually be my favorite Sonic game. Because I just don't care. I don't want to memorize these. I didn't want to do this. I almost quit. I almost didn't do this at all, but I decided to. I stuck through with it. Dang it, I've got the hiccups. Hang on. Okay, we should be good now. Where was I? Oh, I do like the coloration of this one, but I like green as a color, so of course I would. No, this one's deceptive. It doesn't look that bad unless you're playing it. Then you realize how bad it actually is. Unless you're better at these than me. I mean, that's part of the problem, is I'm just not good at this sort of thing. Now the last one. I think this one is easier than they intended it to be. I think they thought it was going to be really hard, but really this is the hardest part. This first 100 rings. If you fail here, obviously you lose because you don't go on, but this is the hard part. If you can get past this, you've won, is what I'm trying to say. You know, this is the only segment you have to worry about. And it was the part that I could actually jump across. Because I don't know, I don't know. Maybe I just failed at timing the jumps in the fourth special stage. But yeah, this isn't hard at all, this segment coming up. All you really have to do is memorize which side you're supposed to be on, because that's just how this second one goes. The quota's not at all that hard to meet. Alright, now for the part I think they thought would be hard, but it really isn't. They just start throwing rings at you. But since there's no pattern, I think, again, they thought it was going to be hard. I took a hit there, because I wasn't paying attention anymore. But yeah, this is all you have to do. I mean, if they wanted it to be hard, they should have upped the number of rings you had to have. Not to a ridiculous degree, because this does prevent you from gathering a whole lot, but you know, that wasn't that bad. It got that on my second try. But now we have all the Chaos Emeralds. And with that, we can change into Supersonic. I don't normally like playing around as Supersonic, but we might as well take a look at him. I got him after all. Let's just show him off. I'll also show me being pathetic at the slots before I have some fun in Casino Night Zone. So I decided enough was enough. I'll just go manually get the other rings. And once you have 50 rings and you are in the air, you don't have to be jumping. If you collect that 50th ring while you're already in the air, you turn into them immediately. Yeah, it's really frickin' annoying is what it is. Sonic 3 would try to remedy this by at least making it an activated thing when you jump, but that failed in its own right. Yeah, it's annoying. Once you get to 50 rings, the minute you jump, you just turn into Supersonic. It doesn't matter if you want to or not. That's partially why I can't stand it. However, as you can see, the physics is completely broken at this point. Like, my midair control is so ridiculously precise, but loose at the same time. Like, platforming with Supersonic can be a pain in the ass, and Sky Fortress Zone in particular is dangerous to play as Supersonic. But let's mess up Robotnik, shall we? I just... that midair control, man. What even is physics anymore? No, Supersonic can be fun to play as, I do admit. And you can kill him by being crushed. In this case that I'm about to show you, in ways that Sonic can't normally actually be crushed. Yep. Yeah, and And I'm not showing any mercy either. No, I'm gonna show off a neat little bug or programming error or whatever this is. It's not a glitch. Don't call it a glitch because that's not what it is. But if you're invincible and you turn into supersonic, you retain the invincibility sparkle, except you're no longer invincible, so the sparkles don't go away. It makes you even more supersonic. It looks quite awesome, doesn't it? Yeah, that's the reason I showed off as much as I did, was just to show that. But I don't show any mercy. I'm winning an argument here. This is why the pit is notorious. 1 ring per second. You drain 1 ring per second. Welcome to the next 40 seconds of your life, unless you skip ahead like a smart ass. Well, and see, this is why this is not acceptable. You know, this would be fun. It'd be kind of funny if you could jump out. Instead, you made the ledge so high you might as well have not even put spikes down here at all. But no, and if you get stuck down here supersonic, you get driven out of your frickin' mind. And I only had 45 rings. Imagine if I had like 100 and some odd. Ugh. And he's so physics breaking that he only needs 1 wall to use these bouncers coming up. Yeah, look at that. That's some Super Metroid shit right there. And I show off some more of Metropolis because he is kind of fun to use sometimes, I do admit. And besides, I had to show off how a certain part of this section went. You have to be careful with Supersonic and Metropolis zones. Those teleporter things, they can glitch out on you. That, I believe, is a glitch that what happens, because you can sometimes just accidentally phase through them when you're supersonic. Like, I mean, you enter them and then fall out of them as they're activating. And you'll be in the level scenery, and you can't leave the level scenery. Meaning you have to wait until the time limit runs out or restart. So, gotta be careful about that. And now we take the world's longest bolt. But we're supersonic, so it's actually going faster than normal. Gives you a nice viewing of the sprite work on Supersonic. Yeah, get out of there. I don't know why you enter there. So let's have some fun with Robotic again. And do something with Supersonic that you're not supposed to be able to do at all. I present to you, filling the screen with Dr. Robotnik. You're not supposed to do this. Normal Sonic can't reach him, so there's only ever supposed to be 1 inflatable on the field at once. That's so amazing. I didn't get to show the oh, here they come. No! I didn't ever get to the end with enough rings to turn back into Supersonic at the end, so I didn't show that glitch off where he's walking in midair. But this is the good ending. The quote-unquote good ending, I should say. It doesn't look different than normal. In fact, you fight the boss with 0 rings. You can't go Supersonic at the end of the game. But we get the little slideshow where Tails sees the explosion. And Sonic will be falling to Earth. As soon as Tails gets in his plane and takes off. Yes, we get it. He's taking off, we get it. But somehow, Sonic, despite having no rings, goes supersonic. Horse shit. What is that? Oh, and he's in a controlled descent because he's flying, so Tails' little gesture there, yeah, totally pointless. Though we do get a bunch of bald eagles. The official bird of freedom to show up, but I prefer the bad ending because it gives, you know, Tails a heroic moment. He saves Sonic's life. You know, I don't like this ending where Sonic is so overpowered that he just jumped out of the Death Egg and managed to save himself. Oh well. That's what the bad ending's for. I'll see you guys later when I decide what I'm doing next. Not sure exactly what that's going to be. I have a few ideas, but a lot of what I tried to record, I couldn't because I need different hardware to do that. So, until next time, have a good day.